you can make an excuse about timing. You can make an excuse about interest rates. You can make an excuse about economy. Anything other than being on a deathbed is garbage. Today is the day, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. If you are serious about doing it, put one foot in front of the other and commit to the process. And the opportunity will come forward and it will be clear to you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that have left a successful career from the past and gone down a different road. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we're so pleased to have Jamie Major with us. Jamie, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Jamie. Well, thank you again for being on the Road Less Traveled Show. To start with, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background, what line of work you're initially in?
My road was definitely a little complicated and not a straight line shot. So I started out in law enforcement just north of Atlanta. And then I went into corporate America, got a relocation out to Idaho from Atlanta, which was exciting. I showed up out here. I had no idea if I was going to get the job or not, but I called my wife and said, we're definitely moving. So just start packing. And then have left corporate America and have found myself in the entrepreneurial world doing some land investments and franchising.
Excellent. And maybe a little bit more what you transitioned into. What kind of land development? Is it for a specific office, multifamily, industrial, or?
No, it's mostly raw land. So we got to Idaho years ago, and you can follow the data and see the trends of people coming to states like Idaho. It's not complicated. And we started getting political refugees, really candidly, coming in from California and Washington and Portland and all over the place. So I bought up as much land as I could afford around our house, but it's great investments for us. And we're sitting on a little over 50 acres. I'm not sure what the future plan of the land is, but we'll see where it takes us.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah. Nice. And how about the franchise model you mentioned?
Yeah, I've owned 2 franchises now, and I've invested in a couple others, but I owned a trash compaction business, a business called Smash My Trash. It was a mobile dumpster compaction business. So you back up to warehouses, construction sites, distribution centers. It doesn't matter. Anybody with a 20, 30 or 40 yard open top dumpster, you back up, you compress the contents inside of it, and you drive off. So it was a total B2B play. It was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun to run. I've exited out of that, successful exit there. And then I now own a Ellie Mental Health, an outpatient counseling and therapy business. I've never been to counseling in my life and found myself investing in a therapy business.
Oh. So now you can go for free.
You're right. I'm surrounded every day in our office with counselors and therapists, and very in tune with my emotions now.
You found your inner self. Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good deal. So Jamie, somewhere in your past, maybe it's your law enforcement work or maybe corporate America. Is there a funny story you can share? Something happened to you along the way? Oh
God, there's so many. Some of them probably not appropriate for a podcast. I would think of back in police work, but naturally the time goes back to police work. People would ask, my mom used to ask me, like, what did you do on shift? What did you do last night? And literally, I'm no exaggeration, but you chased around drunks and hookers. Like, that's what I did for a living. And so you can use your imagination to think where those stories will lead you to in police work, but it was a blast. I'm assuming there's some children that might listen to some of these stories or some of these podcasts at times, so I'll refrain from going in details. But it was I'll always have enormous respect for law enforcement and the things those guys go through. But just use your imagination. Drunks and hookers all night long, 8 to 10 hours a night, and wow. And you just fish in that pond, and you definitely find some interesting stories.
I can imagine. Yeah. Again, we both as well have immense respect for law enforcement. It's a tough job, and definitely we need the police force, and we certainly appreciate them. But again, you see people at their worst. No doubt.
And the guys and gals in law enforcement, they are constantly surrounded with just the armpit of society. So, when you do see an officer, just say thanks to him, buy him a cup of coffee, like little things like that really go a long way for those guys. I've seen it. I feel it. A lot of friends are still in that space. They're just some really good hearted people that most of them are very intellectually astute, they could go make a whole lot more money, and they choose to do something as service to other people and people around them. Like it's a very unique culture of human beings that I'm forever grateful for.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, what was a kind of deciding factor that as you transition out of law enforcement, your corporate into the more entrepreneurial, the land banking and the franchise models?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've worked every day of my life since I was 14 years old. I don't know how not to work. And I was in high school pushing a lawnmower around my mom and dad's neighborhood and dragging a trash can with a weed eater and a leaf blower and knocking on people's doors and just jumping up business. And then when I finally got a whole bunch of business going, then you start hiring your buddies. So you bill out, 18, 19, $20 an hour to the client. You pay your buddy $10 an hour. Like, this works. I see how this goes at 18 years old, cashing in 50, 60, 70 grand, like literally at 18 years old. I didn't realize what I had in my hands at the time, but it was so I always had this entrepreneurial drive, this desire to run business, to provide value to my community, to make money, all the things that are there that drives general capitalism. But so when I went to work in police work, I used to drive around at night, between the drunks and hookers. And I remember looking at the marquees on all these buildings, and you see these small businesses there, and you pull up and you go search on the Secretary of State's website, like, who owns the business? And then you start researching, like, I was just nosy. And then, who is that person? What is their history? What is their background? And at times you start finding these people and just questioning them. And what I found during that time, and it's still true today, they're just normal human beings that had the courage to take a road less traveled, to go do something instead of depending on corporate America to give them a W-2. They're just normal people who found opportunity. Some of them were intentional about it. Some of them, it fell on their lap. Some of them, they were just lucky. But so through this process, I went and got an undergrad while I was still a street cop. And then I got an MBA. And during that time is kind of how I went in law enforcement, internal affairs, city HR, and then I went to corporate America. And I just had this constant desire to trust myself and to own my own business. Like, it's not rocket science to run a business and it's really not that hard to make money. And if you are intentional about it and go about it in the right way, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not an ATM in the backyard, but I trusted myself to know that if I put my best foot forward, you surround yourself with the right people, you stay humble, you stay curious, you stay open-minded, fortunes come. And it's been the other piece of it too is I also had a very supportive spouse. My wife's awesome. I love her. She's been very supportive in this process of just like, I come home and be like, I'm really going to get fired from my corporate gig and we're going to open a business. She's like, okay, whatever. So yeah, it's just being intentional, one step at a time. I don't know I'm early 40s right now. I have no idea what the next 10 years holds for me and us, but I know that it's going to be lucrative and I know that's going to be fun, and it's it's not going to be working for somebody. I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how, we talk about it quite frequently that, the normal path everybody's supposed to go down. Rich Dad Poor Dad, talked about that and shined a flashlight on that. There is, this dogma that we're all supposed to believe that says, you go to job, you train through school to become an employee. Well, I don't want to be an employee. I was for a long time. I retired from my W-2 job, and I'm now into more entrepreneurial things, and it's not easy. It's, like you said, it's not an ATM in the backyard, but certainly it's much more rewarding. Being in control of your time, being in control of what you're getting involved with, and so well done. It's great. That's the path you're on now. So very nice.
Thank you. It's
absolutely.
Richard, what you mentioned there is time. It's not only money, but it's time. And in the example, I have a 13-year-old daughter. And she came to, and this was an epiphany in our marriage and our life and our family, came to me recently. And she's in a traveling volleyball club, which is normal for that age of kids that get engaged in that stuff. And if I was still working in corporate America, my answer would have been totally different. So she came to me with this laundry list of tournament dates that are all over the region where we're at. Some of them are, a couple days travel. Some of them are a plane ride around. And I don't even need to look at the dates. I don't need to coordinate meetings or whatever. The answer is yes, honey, we're going to be there. We as a family are going to be there for you and go to all of this. I don't have to go back to some corporate schmuck that is trying to justify their job to manage me and navigate around meetings. Like, yes, honey, we're going to be there. We not only can we afford to go, but the freedom of time to go do that. That's something that it's invaluable. It's totally invaluable.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing also, it's also, hopefully people know this, but the reality of it is that the growth in jobs comes from small business. It doesn't come from the large mega corporations. It comes from
Right.
small business. And that's why it's such a shame that the small businesses have been having such a hard time, with COVID, post COVID, and then now we've got some tax policies, but again, we're not going to go into that. But anyway, definitely we definitely need to see the small businesses grow, because that is where job growth comes from in this country.
It's surrounding yourself in running and owning a small business. So owning your own business is obviously not for everybody. It's not and some people need that support. They want that W-2, and that's great. Like, I want those people around, but I also have the privilege of taking care of them and meeting them on their terms, their needs, in terms of what is important to those individuals. And when you go work for a large organization, you're a cog in the wheel. That's the reality of it. So my coaching to other people, if they don't want to get into to take the risk, and there's certainly risk involved, if they don't want to take the risk of getting into an entrepreneurial endeavor themselves, then go work, just like you're saying, Richard, go work for a small business where you're going to have opportunities. You're going to be everything from the janitor to the marketing person to the podcast host, like all the things. Like the value that comes in working in a small environment, in a small business, is life changing for me. I'd love it. I love it.
Yeah. So speaking of, you mentioned you've always been entrepreneurial. You started your art business at 14, et cetera, et cetera. As you were really kind of shifting from police force to corporate America, when you started really kind of saying, okay, I'm done with corporate America, we're going to do this. What obstacles did you have to overcome at that point?
Courage, time, money was a factor. Like I had a young, my daughter's 13 now. I have a 10-year-old son now, but looking at my family, being like, yes, I trust myself. So ultimately to me, what it came down to was courage. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here, but trusting myself and knowing that I can do this, and we will do this, and we will be successful. There's no time but today. Coming up with every excuse in the book, and you can always find next week, next month, next year, you can always come up with that excuse. But ultimately getting out of my own way. And I wanted to own a business. I can't tell you how long I spent looking for the right business, looking for the right opportunity. And I found every excuse in the world to say no to the businesses that I found. And that's where franchising found me, is when I realized what franchising does for me. It's a business in a box. So, you guys are clearly smart enough to open your own business. Most of your audience is smart enough to open their own business, but franchising to me provided me that business in the box, that go-to-marketing plan, the playbook, the customer acquisition, vendor management, supply chain, inventory, technology, social media, all the things here that are in that business in a box where I can hit the ground running. Like, I literally knew nothing about mental health space, but when I looked at what I wanted to put into a business versus what I want to get out of the business, the system in the middle, the franchise system, it meets my needs and short-term needs, long-term needs. And it's a great business. Like, I'm having a really good time. It's a lot of fun to run it. But the hurdles, I think the hurdles is my own mind. The hurdles is you're constantly getting pressure from people around you, family members, people that you really care about and trust, that are wired different, that give you all the reasons not to do this. They will tell you, like, you should be grateful for your job. You should be grateful for that W-2 or that 401k. And of course I am, but I'm not. It's not enough. That's not the motivation for me. Is to be self-sufficient. The motivation is to be self-sufficient, drive value to my family. And then when that moment comes, when my daughter says, here's 15 different volleyball tournaments, yes, that's the motivation. And so just getting out of your own way and having the courage to go do it, roll your sleeves up and get to work.
Yeah, there was a famous speech from Steve Jobs that talked about the crazy ones. And he was talking about invention, but at the same point in time, you can apply that to really kind of the concept of going down the road less traveled and doing your own business, having your own, whatever that business is. It takes courage to go, and do something out of the norm. But at the same point in time, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and then when you surround yourself with people that have done this, that's also motivational, and you see that they're just good human beings. They're natural people, guys and gals, just like me, just like you, just like the people that are listening to this, that they just put one foot in front of the other and they started doing. I also do a lot of I do franchise consulting, where I take individuals and help them find a franchise, find the right business opportunity. And what we coach people is basically 3 prongs: is be skeptical, Skepticism is healthy when searching for a business and the right opportunity. Be open-minded and be curious. And when you combine those three elements together, an opportunity comes forward. You eliminate the excuses and the right opportunity comes forward, whether it's real estate, whether it's a franchise business, whether it's, putting a whole bunch of money in the market, whatever your strategy is, investing in some sort of startup, whatever your strategy is. But if you're skeptical, open-minded, and curious, the opportunities come.
Really. Yeah, and I think we talked about this a lot too. I think it was a Jim Rohn quote about you're kind of an average of your 5 people you surround yourself with. Spend most time with your friends, and like you're saying, as you get into the more entrepreneurial stuff and business owners, and these are good people, but they're also just exposed to so many more opportunities you didn't see initially in a different path you were on.
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys probably get the same, but I get people coming at me regularly of, hey, this guy's going to sell, or this guy's going to retire, or this business is coming open, or you just have constant, when you find success, and success is more than money, but when you find yourself surrounding with people that are in this environment, you get opportunities that are constantly dropped in front of you, and you can't say yes to all of them, but you can bet your nuggets that I'm curious, I'm open-minded, and I'm skeptical of everything that's put in front of me. And you just explore it and peel the layers of the onion back one step at a time, and clarity comes.
What was as you transitioned out of corporate America into buying 2 businesses now, exiting one? What was one of your first victories along the way that really solidified the fact that this is an achievable path for me?
The first month of cash flow positive on a P&L, like that moment when you see that cash flow, and I don't care if it's 75 cents or $75,000 or whatever the number is, when you see that cash flow positive on your first month, when you get there and you set your plan out, you're like, what's coming, what it takes to get there. But when you actually physically see it and you log into the bank and you can verify all the things that your bookkeeper's given you, that is the most rewarding feeling. And it's a high that I can't explain. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs see it too. You guys probably see it in your investments you make too, of when you set the goal out and hit that financial return, like that's fulfilling to me. That's the moment that I'm never turning back.
Nice. Great.
Yeah.
Never.
Nice. JB, on your current path, on your, owning businesses, franchise consultant, et cetera, is there a funny story you can share, something that happened to you recently?
I think getting into Ellie mental health. So I worked with a gal and this is the kind of the work that I do now. I worked with a gal to find the franchise business and basically a coach, a consultant. And again, that's what I do now. And she brought this business to me. Brittany's her name. She brought this business to me, and I had literally binge watched Dave Chappelle the weekend before. It was like a Monday or something when we met. And she's like, I'm going to talk to you about a mental health business. I'm like, Brittany, what in the hell are you talking to me about a mental health business? I am not a touchy feely, like I don't fit in that box at all. And it was a moment of humbleness. And when I really stepped back and looked at it, like you can still be somebody who's attracted to the Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor type comedy. You don't have to fit in the box of everything that you're going to. And I still laugh at myself about that. I think it's funny, but mental health space and owning a business in the mental health has been a great fit for me. And I don't know that I fit the profile of what somebody would think.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Well, Jimmy, where are you today in your journey? You said you also have a consulting now, 4 franchises. You have 1 office now. Are you looking to expand the office model, acquire more franchises, or more into the coaching side of it?
Yeah, both.
Both.
I'm constantly have my head down looking for other business. I'm going to stay in the franchising space. It's been lucrative for me. The people I'm surrounded with, the business in the box, the mindset of just having the support of a franchise. And you got to think bigger than food. I probably will never get into a food type franchise, but I'm going to stay in the franchising space. I've found my niche. I found my comfort level. I've found financial freedom, found the freedom of time, that business in the box. So in terms of my Ellie, we're going to expand out and certainly do more of them. And then in the consulting side, I take clients in and we take them out under our umbrella. It's a free service to them. If you guys have a little plug for ourselves here, if you have audience members that want to engage and want to explore, 3 things we ask of you. Again, skepticism, open-mindedness, and be curious. And you come into our process And basically what we're doing is we're taking inventory of what you want to put into the business. It's time, money, resources, opportunity costs, because there are opportunities. Do you have a family member that you want to be in the business? Is it ancillary to an existing investment or portfolio that you have? And then on the back end, what do you want to get out of it? Are you going to flip it in two years, 5 years? Are you trying to get wealth? Are you trying to get immediate income? Maybe a faith? Are you trying to drive some sort of community engagement? Whatever the inputs versus the outputs are. And so that's what we identify with clients. And we're really intentional about that. And then you find in the middle, we help them go out and find the franchise business that meets those needs and desires, short term and long term. And then we get paid on the back end like a headhunter or a real estate agent does. So it's really free to our clients. And that is one of the most rewarding feelings, not only for me to own my own businesses, but to help other people, experience this and steer them through the through the bureaucracy and the red tape. And a lot of people just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And so this is a path that I'm going to stay on. It's been an enormous emotional fill. It fills my cup. And just helping other people find the freedom and be corporate refugees. We have a lot of land investors, real estate investors that are looking for some sort of franchise business, maybe the home service business or a handyman type business or property management service, parking lot maintenance, whatever it may be that fits their portfolio. And that's part of what their motivation is they're going to add value back to something they already have. So to answer your question, that's a long answer, but to answer your question is I'm going to stay on the franchise path. We're going to expand out our Ellie's. I will buy another franchise and then continue on helping other people get in this space and find whatever their definition of success is.
Nice.
Great. Yeah.
So, Jamie, you talked about, as a franchise consultant, how you're helping people kind of identify the right type of business that could be something for them to invest in. And again, when it comes to Ellie, obviously, we know there's a huge mental health need in this country these days. So that's great. But is there anything else that you do from a standpoint of trying to either through your personal life or in your businesses that you do to give back to help others in some way?
Oh, gosh, it starts. There's a Barbara Bush. God bless her. She had a quote. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically the message was everything needs to start and end at home is where you need to start your priorities. It starts at your own kitchen table with your own family, and then you expand out to your community. So my wife and I are very intentional about being focused on our marriage and being focused on our kids, because ultimately raising good humans that can go out in the world is a priority to us. So we focus a lot internally on our family. And I'm heavily involved in my local community here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in the Chamber of Commerce, at nonprofits, all the things that we can just get engaged in. Owning a business has facilitated those conversations. It's also facilitated the opportunity to financially contribute to some of these. So I can go to a fundraiser and raise my paddle. That's rewarding and filling. And if I had a corporate gig, I probably wouldn't have had those opportunities. So I do spend a lot of time and focus on our family, be selfish with myself, my own health, go to the gym as much as we can, and just surround yourself with good, fun people that fill your cup and motivate you, like good, smart, fun people. But it goes back to the family at home.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Getting on the ski slopes. Richard and I spent many of days and nights skiing, and that's a big reason we live in Idaho now is the snow here. So we're getting ready for ski season right now. Can't wait for it.
Yep.
Yeah. I was hoping you knew Richard from skiing and not from your law enforcement days. He was in the
backseat of the car, and then we just stayed in touch through the court proceedings and said no.
Well, wait a second here. So I'm a snowboarder, and actually a lot of skiers think the snowboarder should be arrested. So there could have been some law enforcement action going on there. I don't know. So.
Yeah, you don't fit the profile of the snowboarders. Most of the, I think the profile of snowboarders started out, as the young, annoying hippie, and now they've all matured and grown up and are smart.
That's right.
Well, Jimmy, is there something you've recently implemented in your business that's allowed you to continue to scale and grow?
We take in this business that I'm existing in right now, the mental health space, we take a clinician first model. And that sounds simple, to put your employees first, to put your staff first, but it's actually foreign in the mental health space. So they generally start with the client's needs first. And we've taken a total opposite approach to that. As we put, and some clients just aren't a fit for us, and that's fine. No trouble, no harm. But we take a clinician first approach to where their needs, desires, and expectations need to be met first. And if that means they fire a client or we lose revenue out of it, or you have an opening, so be it. Like whatever. But the burnout and the turnover in the space of mental health, which is a big part of the void in the mental health space in America, is the turnover and the burnout from the clinicians. So the very simple solution there is to put them first and foremost, and the client comes second. And I'm not shy about it. I'm not going to be shy about it. My staff comes before my clients. And when you have the right mindset with the staff, then the clients are then taken care of. Like, I don't think this is complicated, but it's a different approach what our experience is in the mental health space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Very nice.
And it's being intentional about not just putting words on and being clinician first. It's truly taking inventory of it, taking the pulse of them, of their needs and desires, just being a good leader in having these conversations, being vulnerable, being open to feedback. Without them, I have no business whatsoever, like zero, it's gone. So, right, to put them first on the pedestal here, the clients will come. I'm not worried about the clients. They'll come. Yeah. And frankly, I think the clients are fortunate to have the quality of therapists and clinicians that we have in our facility or in our clinic, because we attract the top tier talent.
Nice. Yeah. There definitely are some clients that need to be fired, for sure. No matter whether it's a, mental health, like you're talking about, or whether it's a corporate America. There's some clients that just, I've had client experiences in the past where they've been very abusive to our staff. We're like, okay, this is not okay. We're not going to sustain this. We're not going to continue. And if it does continue, we're going to stop. We're going to fire you as our client. So, yeah.
We do that in the franchise consulting space. So I've had people that, and again, I value enormously the skepticism aspect that we've talked about. That's a really important aspect of the evaluation process. But that is not an excuse for kindness, to be humble, to be caring, right, to be genuine. Like that's not to be skeptical. You don't have to be rude. Right. And so when a client comes through our process and we start to pick up on that, they're a representative of us going down the line, and you build relationships in the industry with people that you work for. And ultimately your clients are they're a reflection of you too. So it's just not, that's one of the things we talk a lot in our firm that we work in, the consulting firm I work with. We talk a lot about what is the definition of success? What are the indicators of successful people? And kindness and being humble is generally one of the top pieces there. Like, some of the highest net worth people that we work with are some of the nicest, kindest, caring people, but they're just smart and they recognize the opportunity. They recognize value and know when to strike. They're not rude, condescending humans. That's a common trait.
Yeah.
And I think that's how these people make a lot of money and become very successful, is because they surround themselves with nice people, and then people become loyal in exchange to, whether it's vendors, whether it's clients, whether it's customers, employees, whoever it is, family members. It's just being good to other humans is not that hard.
There you go. That's exactly right. Yep. Well said. Jamie, what advice would you share with somebody who's considering making a path change?
Do it. Do it today. Do it now. Commit to a process. Eliminate the noise out of that you're constantly going to get. There's going to be a neighbor, a friend, a family member. Someone's going to tell you that all the reasons you shouldn't do this. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to whip out a checkbook and whip out an ink pen to sign some sort of contract today or tomorrow. Simply commit to the process, and then find someone who will help you and be an accountability partner in that process. And so that could be a real estate process. That could be a franchise business. Like, I would love to help somebody commit to a process. And it's everyone's process is different. It can be 8 weeks or 8 months. But if you commit to the process and you put the work into the process that's necessary, the opportunity comes out. Mm-hmm. It unequivocally does. You can make an excuse about timing. You can make an excuse about interest rates. You can make an excuse about economy. You can make an excuse about anything other than being on a deathbed is garbage. Yep. Like, I'm convinced of it. Today is the day, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. If you are serious about doing it, put one foot in front of the other and commit to the process. and the opportunity will come forward and it will be clear to you.
There you go. Well said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Jimmy, what's the best way for our listeners to reach out and learn more about like your consulting, your business on the franchise if they're interested in pursuing that path?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I love to talk business. I love to talk franchising space. It's been life-changing for my wife and I and my family. So even if someone has that excuse, it's not the right time, whatever it is, if they just want to talk and be curious to dive in more, then please reach out. I'll give you my cell and an email here. My cell phone is 208-626-8141, 208-626-8141. Call, text, whatever, anytime. I love it. It's talking franchising and business. I get excited about it. Very passionate about it. No one's going to talk me out of it. No one's going to tell me that it's a bad way to run business. They're just not going to convince me because I can prove it otherwise. And then my email is Jamie, Jamie at franpathconsulting.com, Jamie at Fran, FRANPATH consulting.com.
Excellent. Well, we'll link those in the show notes below, Jamie. And we want to thank you for being on the Road Less Traveled show today. Really enjoyed the conversation and wish you continued success.
This is awesome. You guys are great. Proud of you guys. I'm big fan of Richard. I've known him for many, many years, and beautiful wife, beautiful family, and still follow them on Facebook regularly. And it's just, again, relationships and good people find other good people. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jamie. Thank you for being on. We do appreciate it. We also want to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our show today with Jamie Major. And again, remember, folks, please reach out to Bill and myself. We're happy to have a conversation anytime at all with you. Our website is parkcapitalpartnersllc.com, parkcapitalpartnersllc.com. And again, a quick reminder of 2 things that Park Capital Partners has going on. First, we have the Park Capital Partners Value Add Fund, which is a 506c fund open today to accredited investors. And second, we have the Park Capital Partners Foundation, which is a 501(c) nonprofit that Bill and I created as a way to give, another way that we give back. The way that works quickly is, first, we fund the operations of it, so all the money donated goes to do its best work, which is to help others. Second, we donate personally. Third, we donate corporately. And finally, when investors invest with us, we make a donation to honor that investor to a pre-selected list of 15 different charities. So again, please reach out, say hello, parkcapitalpartnersllc.com. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.